Hi. As you can see in this photo, reading and I go a long way back. Yes, since then, I have written most of my books right side up. My parents say I taught myself to read when I was 3. I think this is probably thanks to PBS and their show, Word World. Here, I am 3 years old, so I may actually be reading to my cat. Appropriately, the book is called Tales. I'm 10 years old now, and in 2017, I read 201 books. So, how do I read so much? How do I keep reading? I have a YouTube channel called Snazzy Reads. I'm part of a community of book lovers on YouTube, simply known as BookTube. On my channel, I do hauls, which are me talking about the books that I acquired each month. Wrap-ups, which are me talking about the books that I read each month. Book tags, which are a themed way to answer bookish questions. Book reviews, I think are pretty self-explanatory. And I do a lot of more. To talk about books, I kind of need to read books. And the more I read books, the more I want to talk about them. Here's an equation. Participation plus community equals inspiration. This means the more I participate in the BookTube community, the more I am inspired to keep reading. One strategy I use to keep reading is that I surround myself with books. At home, I have my own library, as you can see here. It's absolutely massive. And that's not all of them. I go to the actual public library regularly. I go to Barnes & Noble weekly. And at school, I have fantastic teachers with fantastic classroom libraries. When you have books around, I feel like it makes it more likely you'll pick up one and read it. Next, I always have a book. Sometimes it feels like I take a book with me literally wherever I go. I take a book with me in the car. I take a book with me to chess tournaments so I can read in between rounds. I take a book with me when I go out to eat so I can wait for my table on food properly. I take a book with me to oil changes so I can read because those take forever. I take a book with me to the barber shop. And of course, I take a book with me on trips. Now that I think about it, it's not a book. Maybe it's 2. It's probably going to be 3. Sometimes I have 4. A few minutes here and a few minutes there can quickly add up to some serious reading time. Another thing that helps me keep reading is social media. On Twitter, I build relationships with authors and talk to book lovers around the globe. I also get the latest in book news. As soon as the book's coming out, I know about it. I owe a Newbery Award-winning author a donut. Her name is Katherine Applegate, thanks to Twitter. I also use Goodreads. Goodreads is like Facebook for book lovers, where I'm able to track my reading, rate books, and even enter giveaways. I bet if you look for the bookish community on your favorite social media platform, you'll find it. And maybe a book recommendation or 2 to come with it. I keep reading because I read in different formats. I read in ebooks if I have no more books with me or I forgot a book light. Then I'm going to have an ebook. I also listen to audiobooks. I listen to audiobooks if I'm car sick or I'm working with my hands. Then audiobooks are the best. I keep reading because I share my love of books with friends. We talk about what we read, give each other recommendations, which is really helpful. For example, my friend Aubrey did a book talk on Red Queen, and I was inspired to read the whole series, which I loved. If you haven't yet, I highly suggest you should try talking about books with friends. I keep reading by meeting authors. I've met Katherine Applegate, who's the Newbery Award-winning author of The One and Only Ivan, Chris Grabenstein, who wrote Mr. Lemoncello's Library, Jennifer Chambliss-Bertman, who wrote Book Scavenger, Ted Sanders, who wrote The Keepers, Sarah Aronson, who wrote Beyond Lucky, and Mark Andrew Poe, who wrote Harry Moon. I get to know the authors as people, and then they take a lot of their time to answer my questions. I get to learn about the writing process, and then the more I know about how a book was written, the more I want to read it. If there's a chance to meet an author, I highly suggest you meet them. They'll inspire you to keep reading. For my final reason, family. I have lots of family support. My whole family supports me by buying me book gift cards for every special occasion they can think of. And they also watch and share my videos. My parents support me by helping plan, edit, and film my videos, buying me books, reading to me, and recommending me books. For example, my dad was reading Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I read it, and it's my favorite book of all time now. I know, there's a lot of adults here. And so you can use some of these techniques to support a child in your life because your adults and your families wouldn't really be able to support you anymore, and help them grow their interest in reading. I know some or a lot of these strategies may not be for you, but I hope one or two have inspired you, and you can use them to help you keep reading. Thank you.